Hello, everybody. How you doing? All right. I think I'm going to take us a little bit towards the old school manners and leave aside, let's say, a little bit all the language I have been using around technology, and to think about another aspect that most of you have here today, which is around people, community, our audiences, right? And in my case, I want to talk about what does it mean that for MACBA. And also, I think because to us is one of the key issues looking to the future of the museum, right? So how we can look at the museum from a contemporary perspective. You know? From this idea, I always use this Dan Perowski participation on the book of Claire Bishop, Radical Museology, just to think about how we as community are constituting the museum of the future. A little bit of background, just to say that the museums, and I think I want to use some of the images that you will see that are not necessarily from MACBA to, hold on, I need something. Can you let me know when I'm 10 minutes past? Yeah. So, as I say, I'm going to use some prompters, right, to activate the discussion about what could be presumably the future of the museum. And one key thing is this, right? The museums must be rooted in their context as, in a sense, metaphorical, but also very concrete, and this is our concrete center. For many of you, the temporal and geographical framework of MACBA, instead, I decided that for the project of the museum that I will embark on, I will take not necessarily the opening of the building, which was this year, 30 years. In fact, I believe 30 years ago this week was the first time that the doors were opening to the public in an almost empty museum. So as I said, instead of the building openings in 1995, the temporal framework that I thought that would be most useful was to take as a myth the conceptualization of MACBA in the 1980s. Departing from the unprecedented accord, we always say how the museums are founded, and in this case, also trying to combine those political powers to think about what could be the future. And I think it was Laura or somebody in the presentation this morning that was talking about how critical we are for society, and how, for instance, in the case of MACBA, there is a consortium constituted by the municipality of Barcelona, the region of Catalonia, the state of Spain, and a civil society foundation that together decided in mid-1980s, as I was saying, that they will generate what it was called the cultural pact, the cultural agreement, el pacto cultural. But to me, the condition of possibilities of this institution wasn't necessarily in this purpose to develop new cultural policies beyond the political spectrum, to lead to the constitution of the museum, and to break, as it happened at the time, these dichotomies between what was historically defined as the left and right wing parties to embrace culture. This is what they were hoping in this agreement, as I said, for the sake of a healthier, more just public culture. To me, the site of production of this episode in history, though, had a precedent, which is located, and more critically, in what it is the local art scene, and the specific underground trends, countercultural organization that existed at the time, the institute in gesture, I call it, those institutions that were not necessarily constituted as such, but that they were institutions for most of the people in Barcelona at that point, and that they were the birthplace of some of the most experimental and more transdisciplinary aspects and practices and discourses. Those are, for me, the real condition of possibility for the museum to emerge, right? The political agreement is just the way in which all of that coalesces together in an institution. But without those conditions of possibility to begin with, you won't have the museum. You need the art scenes, you need the people that constituted them. So in a way, also I wanted to go back to this idea, no, that this notion of the new institutionality from which MAGBA is probably very well known for that. But I think in 1990s there was this sense of hierarchical institution, focus on the director agenda, and the director was this kind of author, which in a way, of course, it could be great, and it was great. But no matter how great it is, I think it's a missed opportunity if we indulge this authoritative cupola or authoritative dome as such. No? Another aspect that we experience throughout different moments, and I was talking a little bit about this, I think I collect some of the ideas on Jin-Suk this morning also, no? When he takes this incredible sort of like arc of time. But there was a point where, you know, if the solution wasn't coming, I think it was, if you study museology, probably the 1990s, and this new institutionality moment is located in the third wave of institutional critique, right? But that was the point where, you know, artists have said their say, artists has been, you know, in the 1960s, 50s, 60s, not particularly after the war, trying to decommercialize the art, try to bring something else to the institution we call museum. And at some point, I think we all live the experience that, you know, there will be, as Pablo Guerra said here, art activists that will come to do the work for the museum, right? But Barcelona has this incredible moment through MAGBA, but also through the visit of the, in 2001, G8, I don't know if you remember, where there were these notion of the protest of the demonstration as one of the fine arts. And what I thought was beautiful about this is to bring the museum, no, beyond this notion of the paternalist notion of give back, and to bring the museum to the streets, bring the museum to a direct action, bring the museum to a space of radical publicness. No? And when I talk about being politically radical or being politically or radically public, what I refer to is how we already are part of what is called in Spain the cultural rights, right? And we, you know, as you know, we have the right to education, we have the right to our patrimony, our mother tongue, all of those things. A museum is part of that already. Our mission is to be public, is to serve a public, is to serve an audience. So how can we be more radical? What else in our journey that we need to emphasize to make that also possible? So anyhow, it's amazing. You don't know what you see. You don't know the background, but it's, it's incredible. Janelle is so amazing. No, these things had to be seen. So now you say when I have 2 minutes. Yeah. Yes, okay. Super. Beautiful. But I love it. You all need to turn and see it. So you want to do it when we are 2 minutes. And I think this is one of the things, right? Like participation, again, I get lost for thoughts in a minute. But just to say that, you know, how to participate, right? There have been many, particularly in the 1980s, early 2000, you know, ways in which we invite people to participate. What does it mean and how we do it, right? And I think that continues to be a question. I don't know that, I mean, I see my colleagues that successfully had managed to bring audiences to the museum, but what does it mean really? No? And of course, you know, there are these marketing opportunities where you are like, yes, MAGBA, this is what you constitute. It's not only, you know, the digital world allowed us to do that, but also we try to connect with you in the street. But what else we can do, no? And again, I said this is one of the key things. What the museum becomes, right, is no longer so evident, right? And and the task of the institution is to reinvent itself constantly. And you do it, and I'm not gonna show you this because it's too long, but you can check it out. This was a project that was taking place in the Architectural Festival. And what I like about this, which is the Plaza de San Angels is right in front, or now in between 3 of our buildings in the campus of MAGBA that you saw at the very beginning of the presentation. where you see here all this furniture had wheels and people was invited to move those wheels throughout. And the way in which they were creating spaces to sit down, it has been an inspiration. Some of these images are before my time, but it was important for me to think about where we place the audiences in between the art, the museum as a platform. And you saw MACBA is very much a museum building that was thought from the perspective of the modern, of the Enlightenment, where you have a ramp that is overlooking. We have this incredible window overlooking the square and connecting us with the public square. But really, when we are invited to see it, if you are let's say if you are in the main area of the atrium, you won't see the street. You can only see it when you are on one side of it and you are starting to climb or to walk the ramp up to the rooms where, the Enlightenment in the manner of an exhibition will take place. But we want people to change their habits, so we put this in the first project that we did, Intención Poética, which was trying to envision this imagery, of what could happen if we, let's say, disassociate the artwork from the museographic context that surround it, and how can we bring a realm of possibility, if this even existed, the will of the work, the desire and energy of the work, the poetic intention of the work. And for us, what it was critical is to say that the building somehow had to disappear to give a space to the direct relationship between art and the individuals. And we had tried this in several ways, from changing the ways. This is also, of course, these are spaces from this poetic intention, the project that we did, Mesmer, and then you can still visit in many different configurations since it opened in early 2022, of our collection, in which we show, all these different bambalinas, different backstage of the project. But we also did it inviting artists to perform in the space, to comment with us, to be part of what happened. And I realized I didn't use any of the many children, right, that also visited the museum. I wanted also to challenge this notion of given access to the museum. And I think somebody earlier today also talked about the importance of the intergenerational exchange and knowledge production. The museum is no longer a space in which the culture is disseminated in one direction. It's a space that both enters into dialogue and, as somebody else said as well, co-produce and think together with others. I'm not going to leave until you go back there with the 1 minute thing. And these are so many of the moments, some of the questions, we asked people during the pandemic how we could think about the museum differently. We opened a space called Jardín Ambulante, which is like let's say there was the first time that, let's say, the department had, the education department, which is normally the one that engaged with the public, had a specific space, which is no longer just the department, it's also the institution talking to people. And it's a specific space which is located with a specific budget for the community to do whatever they want. And the idea is that by transforming the museum from that specific place, there's going to be strategies that will challenge the way we work generally. One of the most important moments for me in the museum was this presentation, Los Oficios del Raval, the rival neighborhood of laborers. And it was done by students with Teresa Lanceta, the artist, with artist Nicola Maleve from the Nordic Center of Institutional Vandalism, and students, teacher faculty of that high middle school, and also the Department of Education of Barcelona. You can still access to it, and it helps you to understand the neighborhood from the perspective of the kids, but also to understand the museum from the perspective of the kids. They did, Raval is a place in Barcelona where 30% of the people that live in the city of Barcelona are from elsewhere. They are from abroad, or they haven't been born in Barcelona. In Raval specifically, I won the 1 minute. You need to see it, it's spectacular. Anyhow, so just quickly, because time is finishing, One thing that was important for us is this quote, no? Because storytelling is also a matter of one of the things that we are interested in. The power in the story is a quote by Michel Roth-Troyot, an anthropologist from Haiti that passed away a few years back. But that talk about how there are other participants in history making. So if we translate this into the museum field, we will have these other, politicians, students, fiction writers, filmmakers, and other members of the team and the public that participate with us. Just very quickly, I'm gonna do this because the time is up, but also how we participate in initiatives that are connected to society. So this is the Union of Street Vendors with whom we collaborated as well. And just for you to have a sense of the multiple projects, projects around Palestine where we were collaborating with, Emily Jassio, Marwa Arsinos, and we need to be really, really involved. Or Lydia Rahmane, who used her time for the exhibition to invite 107 people to produce projects every single day in the museum. So the idea of a live museum is very important, like Laura Lima make us know with this incredible literal ballet, which was a ballet for objects. The objects take over the museum, and the human were the ones moving the objects around, with 12 people operating the museum during the opening hours of the place. And I had to leave, but I want to take also this project of Jordi Colomer, again, a project made with the students, 6 to 10 years old in a school, right? Just to say this is what it means for us, the Possible Museum, right? Which is what can be done, no? The framework of possibilities. I think this is key to understand what we are trying to affect. And not necessarily always, for its own good, not necessarily to make it grow, although we are going to an expansion, I have to say, but mainly to make it good. So I'm going to leave you with a good feeling video because we cannot get enough of them. And I think, there you are, but it has sound. It's okay. It's very catchy, the sound, so it's okay. You get the... I could play, pretend to play the music. I think it's fine. No? There's nothing you can do. It's fine. Thank you very much. I don't know if it was...